What is life really like at UCL? I think it's a very important question to ask, especially at a time like this when a lot of you might be considering UCL for your bachelor's, for your master's, PhD. It's very important to consider whether this university is for you and whether you can make the most out of your time there. So, just to quickly introduce myself, I'm a second year management science student at UCL. So, it's been about nearly 2 years since I started studying here, and there were a lot of things that really caught me off guard when I started studying here, and it took me a lot of time to adapt to those things, and I wish I was aware of them a lot sooner. So I'll be covering those things in this video, things that are very good about UCL, things that are not so good, and how you can make the most out of your opportunity here. So the first thing that I want to start off with is the difference between your life when you choose to commute and when you choose to live in accommodation. Quickly, I'll give you my overall opinion. If you're coming to UCL, I would try my best to ensure that I'm as close to the university as I possibly can. What does this mean? If you're commuting, make sure your commute is less than 40 minutes. And if you're living out in accommodation, you'll be perfectly fine. I myself chose to commute, and this made my university experience a little bit different compared to those that stayed in accommodation and those who commuted to uni and they lived much closer to the university, because my commute was an hour 20 minutes, and this essentially made me miss out on a lot of different things, like sporting events. I wanted to take part in a lot of sports, but the hour 20 commute after training or the hour 20 in the morning to get to training can really add a lot of resistance to those things. And especially, let's say if you go to an event and you're really tired and you still have an hour 20 or an hour 30 minutes until you get back home, that's going to really put you off a lot of things, and it'll really just lead to you missing out on a lot of opportunities, because you're just going to tell yourself, oh, is it really worth me going all the way there, getting ready, commuting that far in order to just do that one or two things? So it can really mess up the university experience overall. And I think if I could go back in time, I would 100% choose accommodation over commuting. But of course, I got to save a lot of money, but I think it's very important that you get the university experience, especially if you're choosing the university route. So I would highly consider staying in accommodation or living as close to the university as I possibly can. Moving on, my academic experience. Of course, UCL is ranked 9th in the world according to the US World Rankings. The institution is amazing, it's well known, it's prestigious, and there is a lot of opportunities here. And in terms of my academic experience, it's been quite mixed. I've had lecturers that are truly amazing at teaching, and I've had lecturers that are not so good. That's just a harsh reality about studying at a university like this. All of the lecturers are incredibly smart, but they are not all amazing at teaching. And it goes to show that there's a lot of independent learning to do, not just heavily depend on your lecturers. Like in school, you can heavily depend on your teachers to tell you things or explain things to you, but that's not the case at a big university like UCL. The lecturers that were very good at teaching, of course, they explained things very clearly, and those that couldn't really explain concepts to the best of their abilities, there was a lot of work that I needed to do on my end. And again, that's just the harsh reality of studying at an institution like this. In terms of workload, I think having completed the first year is really not that big of a deal, but I feel like I took that too literally. I think at university, especially at a university like UCL, your first year still counts towards your overall course weighting. So you shouldn't really fully take a step back and just relax all of first year. You still need to work hard. There were a lot of assignments that I had to do, and I had to sit about 6 exams at the end of year one. So the workload is a lot, and you have to keep up with that. But that's just the case at a university like this. And second year, it's all right so far, but there is a lot of assignments and things like to do. So you need to be proactive. You need to be keeping up with what you're learning. And if you do that, and if you're constantly, going over content and you're keeping up with it proactively, you should be in a good place, and it won't be something that completely catches you off guard compared to like A levels or, at another institution that you might have studied at. And finally, social life and network. I think this really caught me off guard, because the type of people that you find at UCL, especially, I feel like, I don't know if it's just the finance courses or whatnot, but the people here are very different, especially if I come from a background where, you know, I went to a state school. And when I first came to UCL, I noticed that it was very hard to find another person that went to a normal state school. Everyone there seems to have come from a grammar school or a private school background, and that can really, you know, put a lot of things into your mind and like make you feel out of place, give you a little bit of imposter syndrome. But the truth is, you will always find your people. The university has nearly like 50,000 students. If you go out exploring into the societies, there are so many societies out there. If you really just take your time to go out and explore, you know, what you like, you will truly find your people. And I think that will really make a huge difference in your university experience and allow you to have as much fun as you can. So it's definitely important to venture out there, and especially when you come to a university like this where it's very hard to find your own group of people at the very start. As long as you go out there and try to explore as much as you can, I think you'll be perfectly fine. And in terms of your network, there is so many career opportunities that are opened up to you when you choose UCL. The name UCL itself opens your doors to so many different opportunities. And I feel like if you're someone that puts yourself out there, attends all the events that are shown to you, you'll be fine. I think as long as you're networking, as long as you're speaking to people, as long as you're curious, everything else will be perfectly fine for you. And finally, the one thing that I want to finish off is you have to stay competitive, you know, especially if you're coming to UCL to study finance or, you know, STEM or anything like that. It does get really competitive here, because that's just the nature at a university like this. You know, everyone is always on it, everyone's always working hard, and everyone's always trying to get to the best careers that they can possibly get into. So it is super competitive, but that kind of, you know, makes you work harder, I guess. So that again makes the university experience much more, you know, interesting, I would say. But, you know, it keeps you going. So overall, it has a good social life. I would choose to live in accommodation if I was going back in time and choosing to, you know, plan my commute and things like that. And yeah, if you're planning to study at UCL, overall, I would recommend it if you live close to the university. And everything else about the university is quite good. There's a lot of events. The people here are quite good. You know, most of them come from like a private school or a grammar school background, especially in like the more finance related courses. But overall, it's a great university. If you're planning to study there and you have any questions, just feel free to drop a comment below and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. So yeah, that's it. That's my opinion, and I'll see you guys later.